Hi guys, and welcome to the MT5 tutorial by Veracity Markets. So the objective here is that we're going to show you how to get started with MT5, and hopefully by the end of this you will be an MT5 expert and you will know how to use MT5 from start to finish. So what is the difference between MT4 and MT5? Well, firstly, MT5 is newer technology. Right, so you're getting the latest technology from meta quotes. A few other things you're going to be receiving as well is that you get more indicators in MT5. You also get more order types in MT5 as well, and you get a bit of a more stable platform. So if you want to learn how to trade and you're just getting started, I would actually recommend starting with MT5 instead of actually starting with MT4. And the reason for this is because there's going to come a point in time where MetaTrader 4 is actually phased out. So it's actually beneficial for you to just start on the latest software, which is MetaTrader 5. Okay, with that being said, let's get started. So the first thing I want to show you is when you open MetaTrader 5, you are presented with this screen. Now, I know it can be confusing at first, but I'm actually going to walk you through each of these screens and what everything actually does. All right. So the main screen here, where you can see my mouse, is actually where your chart is. So this is where you can actually do your analysis. You can look at the different prices of the different instruments, and this is where you'll actually see where your trades are placed. Right. The next thing you're going to see here on the left hand side is actually your market watch. So your market watch is where you're going to see the different instruments and the different bid and ask and prices of the different instruments as well. So if you look at it, if I scroll down here, you can see all the pairs which I actually have active. Now, I'm actually going to show you at a later stage how to actually add more pairs and remove more pairs from this. So the next tab here is actually the Navigator tab. On the Navigator tab, the first thing you'll have is actually your accounts. So if you've got accounts or multiple accounts, you will actually see all your accounts listed here. As you can see, my demo account is actually linked here and it's got my name there, Robson. If I had more than one account, you would actually see more than one account being listed here, and you could actually click on those different accounts to actually scroll between the different accounts. Now we're going to look at indicators. This is where you will find all your indicator groups, and they're grouped in regards to trend indicators, oscillators, volume indicators, Bill Williams, and other indicators. If you use custom indicators, you can actually add your custom indicators here, and they'll actually appear under this folder here. Next, we have our expert advisors, or EAs for short, or robots, and you will actually have all your EAs and custom EAs actually under this tab right here. You've also got scripts. Yeah, so if you've got a script, for example, which when you drag it onto your chart, it closes all your trades or it performs a certain function, that script will actually be under here. Under the services tab, basically, this could be services as VPS services you're hiring from MetaQuotes or other services which you can also get. Now, I'm going to come down here to what we call the terminal. So your terminal basically is where you will have your open trades when you have any trades placed. It'll show you your equity, your current routine profit and loss, the order size and the volume also of your active trades. If you come to this, you'll actually see the history basically of all of the closed trades you've actually placed and closed. News, this is basically if MetaQuotes is sending out any updates in regards to MetaTrader. I wouldn't focus too much on this right now or even on the mailbox. I think the most important thing to focus on in your trading or getting started in your trading journey is actually the trade tab and the history tab, so you can actually have a look at your placed trades which are active and the trades which you actually have closed. Okay, so I'm actually going to show you how to open a chart basically. So let's say we want to look at something like pound USD. You would actually come to this tab here. You say create new chart. You'd come down to the instrument which you want to have opened. In this case for us is an FX pair and it's pound USD. Okay, so now we run to our first problem. We actually can't find pound USD, which the abbreviation for that is GBP USD, on our chart here. So how do we fix this? I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So what you would do is you would actually right click on your market watch, and you can right click on any on any section of this. You then come to symbols. After you've opened the symbols tab, you can see that we've got some pairs here which are highlighted in the orange or the yellow, and some which are actually not highlighted at all, right? So if we would just do a quick search for GBP USD, we can actually find that because it's not highlighted, it's actually not going to display in our active symbols. So how do we actually activate it? Well, you can do this by double clicking the icon for pound USD and actually pressing OK. Now, if we repeat the same process now of coming to try and edit. Okay, I think we added the wrong ones. Let's try to do that again. Ah, that's the one. And there it is, as you can see. So just make sure that when you are adding your pairs, you actually add the pairs with the dot right at the end. If you're on a demo account, it actually probably show different if you have an ECN account as well. So just make sure with the different pairs which you have, you're adding the correct pair. So let's then now go ahead and create this chart. As you can see, it's now loaded the pound USD 1 hour chart. So right now, as you can see, this chart looks a little bit messy. So let's actually go on and actually start to configure this chart and make it look a little bit more presentable so we can actually do some form of technical analysis. So what we can do is we can actually start off by right clicking. We can then come to properties. Now this actually opens the properties tab of that specific chart. So depending on how you trade, you might want to use different candlesticks, bar chart or line chart. I prefer candlesticks, so I'm actually going to go with candlesticks. As you can see, it's actually changed from a bar chart to candlesticks. Now, there's a few things I want to change on this chart. The first thing I want to include, well, it's already is the trade levels. I also then want to show the bid and the ask price. Yeah, so I can actually see the difference in spread there. And I also want to take out the grid in the background. So I'm actually going to uncheck this. And as you can see, our chart is actually now starting to come alive and give us a little bit more information. Now, I want to do a few other things in this chart. So I want to actually configure my colors to a certain colorway, which I have gotten used to over the years, right? So I want to try change my bear candles to a red, which I've gotten used to. So you can see here, when the bar is going down, I'm going to actually see a red bar going down, right? So I want to change everything to red. Then yeah, that looks great. So as you can see, when the candle's going down, we're going to get a red colorway. When the candle's going up, we're going to get a green colorway. So you can customize this to your liking and your preferences in regards to how you want your charts to look. And if you don't necessarily know how you want them to look, there's also some great schemes here, right? Where you can actually go with yellow and black. Yes, you can also go with green and black, and you can also go with black and white. Right? I know black and white is quite a popular one, but I think right now I'm quite happy with my charts and how they look. Okay, so now that we've got our chart set up, we can see that we actually have two of our prices there, our bid and our ask price. And if you actually want to see if the price is moving or not, we're going to go to just a smaller time frame. Right. So as you can see, we actually have a bit of movement on that chart. Okay. Now, while we're on the subject of timeframes, one of the benefits of MetaTrader 5 is actually multiple timeframes, which you can actually look into. So the traditional timeframes with MetaTrader 4 were 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, daily, weekly, and monthly charts. Right. But the great thing now is that you can actually have more tools and actually have more timeframes. Right. So I want to just if I was to come to timeframes here, you can see actually I can actually go into a little bit more detail in regards to the different time frames I want to go into. So I can actually go from 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and you can have a lot of custom time frames here. So if I want to look at, let's say for example, a 10-minute chart, I can do that right on the pound USD chart. If I decide that I also want to look at, let's say, a 4-minute chart, I can have a look at a 4-minute chart as well. So it's highly customizable when it comes to the different time frames you are using, and it can give you a little bit of a better sense of what the market's going to do when you start looking at multiple time frames. And your very popular time frames are just going to be here. But if you want to customize it and you actually want to look at more time frames, you're welcome to come here and actually look at a custom time frame. This is not just for the minute chart, it also applies here to the hourly chart. So you could actually also have a look at a 2-hour chart and look at what the market is doing on a 2-hour chart. Okay, great. So now that we've actually set up our chart and we actually now have seen that we can look at different time frames, and let's have a look at how do we actually start placing trades and the different order types we can actually place on our MT5. So if I was to go back to the 1-hour chart and have a look at it here, if I want to zoom out of this chart and get a kind of a wider view of what my chart is actually doing, I can have a look at it there. If I want to zoom right to the end of my chart. Okay, great. So let's say we looked at this chart and we had a feeling that this chart is actually gonna, or this price is gonna go down, and we want to go short on pound USD. How do we go about actually placing a trade on this account? So what we could do is we could come here, we could say new order, and automatically you are now presented with a market execution order where you can actually place your trade for a sell or a buy at market order. So right now, let's try and execute a market execution trade on a sell on pound USD. Let's go ahead and do that right now. And as you can see, we are now in the trade. You're going to see a few things when you actually place your first trade. Firstly, you're going to see your running profit and loss. You're going to see your stop loss and your take profit. So right now, we don't have any stop losses or take profits which are actually implemented. But also you're going to see the price at which your trade actually executed. So right now we can see that our trade actually executed at a price of 1.35931. So this gives us a good indication that when we actually want to place our stop loss and our take profit, we can calculate our pips or percentage based on this price right here. You can also see the volume we've placed is actually a trade of 1 lot, and we've placed a sell. It also gives you the time and the date where you've actually placed your trade. Okay, great. So now we want to protect our account and we want to put a stop loss on this trade. So how do we go about this? I'm going to show you 2 ways to actually go about this. So you have the option to actually double click on the same trade which is actually currently running, and you're presented with an option of putting in a stop loss and a take profit. So if you click up on, because we are in a sell, obviously our stop loss is going to be above our sell price. You can click up on it and it will actually show you where it's going to place the stop loss. All right. So let's say I wanted to put my stop loss just above here. What we could do is that we could actually use our crosshair tool and we can actually look at the price. So as you can notice on the right hand side, as we're moving our crosshair tool, it's actually giving us the price. So I think I'm comfortable putting my stop loss at a price of 1.36464. Okay, let's go ahead and now put that up. So we said we want to put our stop loss price at a price of 1.36464. Once I've entered that price, I can say modify the order and then press OK. And that's actually going to put my stop loss above where I actually wanted it, above the price where I wanted it, and these higher highs. Okay, great. Now, when you want to put your take profit, it is actually the identical thing, but you're doing it in reverse. So Well, let's actually start here. So let's actually start by saying, where do we want to take profit? I'll be happy to take profit just below these lows right here. So I'll be comfortable putting a take profit at 1.35407. Now that I've got that price, I can double click on my order. When I come to take profit, I can then say 1.35.435. Then I modify my order and press OK. And as you can see, now I've actually placed my trade, my take profit, just below these lows. Okay, great. So that is one way of actually placing a stop loss and a take profit in MT5. Let's look at a couple of other ways, right? So let's say I want to, okay, you'll get this the first time round you actually place or you enable one-click trading, but you probably won't get it again after that. So let's say I want to now remove my take profit and my stop loss. I can do that by actually clicking on the X sign in those different fields. And another simple way of doing it is that I can actually just drag, I can click on my position and actually just drag my stop loss above where I want it to be. And automatically it's actually going to place my stop loss there. Because it's a sell, I have to put my take profit below the price which it started. And again, you see it actually will place my take profit here. So a quick way of managing your risk in positions like this, if you hover over your take profit or your stop loss, it'll actually tell you how much you are going to make if your trade actually activates your take profit. So in this case, if my take profit was to be hit, I would make a profit of $559, right? But if my trade was to go against me, I would actually lose $603, right? So a bit of inverse risk management there, but that's okay. Okay. So I'm going to close this trade at $38 and I'm going to show you how to actually place different order types as well. So that was market execution. What if I actually want to put a limit order? So what you would do is that the same new order tab here, you'd actually click on that. You then actually come where it's written market execution. And on that drop down menu, you'd actually select pending order. Now, depending on the type of order you want to actually implement, you have a few different kind of orders here. You have a buy limit, a sell limit, a buy stop, a sell stop, buy stop limit, and sell stop limit. So a buy stop limit and a sell stop limit are actually the differences between MT5 and MT4 in regards to order types. These are two new order types which are not available in MetaTrader 4. So you've got a few more options when it comes to actually executing trades in the market. Okay guys, so we've gone through the process now of actually placing our first trade and actually closing our first trade. Now I'm actually going to show you a few other things in regards to when you actually want to add indicators to your charts, do a little bit more technical analysis. How do you go about that? So let's get right into it. So as you can see, the trade which we actually placed and closed, we made a profit of $44. And as you can see, it's actually disappeared now from our active terminal or our active trades. So as you would see now, if you want to see your previous trades, you'd actually come to history. And you can see that that trade is actually now here as a closed trade. It'll give us the open time. Oh yeah, so it'll give us actually the open time here. And it's actually going to give us the time we actually close this trade. Right. So if we want to do a few more things here and actually see a bit more history of our trades, we can actually right click and we can actually say we want to see the last 3 months, or we can have a custom period basically where we can actually look at just today, the last 3 days, or specific dates which you actually want to see your history. Now in the event basically you want to see all of your history, it's actually going to bring up all of the history you've had basically on these trades. Okay, so let's start having a look at the different tools you can actually use to actually analyze the market and actually look at the direction of the market and which way the direction of the market is going to go. Now, a very popular tool is actually the moving average. So if we want to insert a moving average, we'd actually come to insert, we'd have a look at our indicators here, And the moving average is actually a trend indicator. So we go to trend and we then come to moving average. Now we're presented with a couple of options here. So the first option we've got is actually a period. The period will basically say, I'm going to look at the last 10 or 20 or whatever period you decide to use actually basically in bars and actually plot a moving average based on that. So let's say I decide that I want to use a popular moving average like the 50 moving average. It's actually going to look at the past 50 bars and basically give us a moving average based on that. So for now, let's just add a simple moving average with a colorway of red to our chart. And as you can see, we've now got this moving average on our chart. But let's say we want to customize this a little bit more, right? We can actually right click on our window and come to indicators list. And now it's going to show us all the indicators which are currently on our chart. Since we had added the moving average, let's customize our moving average just a little bit more by double clicking on it. So let's say I want to change the color of my moving average from red to, let's say, yellow. Right, I can go and say yellow. I can also change the styling of the moving average. So from a fixed line to a broken line, I can also change the width of my moving average. So let's make it a really thick line. If I press on OK, you're going to see those properties which I just adjusted have actually now shown up on my chart. But now let's go into a little bit more detail in regards to the different types of moving averages. So we come back to indicator list, double click on the moving average. And as you can see right now, we're actually using just a simple moving average. You basically have a couple of options basically in the type of moving averages you can use. You can use a simple moving average, an exponential moving average, a smooth moving average, or linear weighted moving average, right? A popular one is actually the exponential moving average. So if we click on that and we say we want it to consider basically the closed price or the open price, we've got a few different options we can use here. So if I say, let's say I wanted to use the current open price and I click OK, you can see my moving average is slightly adjusted. So you need to adjust the moving average based on your strategy and what you are trying to achieve. There's no one method fits all when it comes to the different indicators, but you'll actually just need to kind of look at your strategy and make sure that the type of moving average and the type of settings in your moving average actually are according to your style of trading. So another thing I actually want to point out is that if you look at the moving average on the 1 hour chart, because it's looking at the past 50 candles to actually calculate this, if I come to the 1 minute chart, we're going to see something completely different. The reason why is that because on the 1 minute chart, it's actually looking at the past 50 minutes. Why? Because it's looking at the past 50 candles which have gone by, and it's giving us a moving average based on that. So as you change time frames, you are actually going to get a different view basically in regards to what your moving average is doing. So it'll look different on the different time frames, where if you're using a system like a moving average crossover, some smaller time frames might actually be giving you a sell signal, but on the bigger time frames, you might actually see that it's actually a buy signal, depending on your strategy. Okay, so that's the moving average. Let's say we want to add another indicator to our chart. Let's have a look at a very popular indicator, which is actually the RSI. There we go. Now again, we have the option here to look at the different periods. Let's keep it at the default right now for a period of 14. And as you can see, now we've actually added the RSI. So a quick tip, there are a lot of strategies which actually look at, if I come to a 1 hour chart, the RSI being overbought and oversold, right? So if you look at a case like this, where the price was right at the bottom here, and if I bring my crosshair tool, you can also see that the RSI was actually overbought. Overbought being that it actually crossed over these lines here, and we're expecting a correction basically based on that. And what did it do? From these lows being made here, it actually did move up. Okay, so now you can see that we've got two indicators on our chart. If we want to look at how to actually configure our different indicators on the one chart, again, you can right click. You can come to this indicator list here, and now you can see we've got our RSI where we can access the settings for our RSI and also the settings for our moving average. Okay, so that's how you actually add the different indicators to your chart. So as I said, MetaTrader 5 actually has a lot more indicators than MetaTrader 4. It also has the option for you to actually add custom indicators if you've got custom indicators which have been made for you. But a lot of the indicators which actually come in MetaTrader 4 and 5 are stock standard, but you just get a few more indicators which you can actually use on MetaTrader 5. Okay, so let me clean up my chart a little bit and delete some of these indicators on my chart. I can do that by selecting the indicator I want to remove and just saying delete. The same for my moving average. I can actually delete it and my chart is actually going to go back to standard. Now, let's say you actually want to place trades quickly or scalp, right? You know, coming to the new order section might be a bit of a long process for you. So let's actually have a look at now the one-click trading option. So you're going to see this little icon just above the symbol name, and it'll actually give you the time frame here. If you click on that, it's actually going to open this little window here for you. Now, this little window allows you to quickly enter a lot size you want to trade, and you can select sell or buy. Now, we get a lot of customers saying that, well, they actually can't activate this window here, and I'm going to show you why. So if you come back to our previous pair we were looking at, and let's say we look at a pair which is not activated. Let's say we open this chart window, right? You're going to notice now that that symbol is not there anymore. The reason that symbol is not there anymore is because this pair is actually not activated on our server. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that the pair which you're actually trading is activated on our servers, and you can tell by actually having this one-click trading icon just above the instrument name here. Right. So I'm going to close this because we actually can't trade this anyway, and I'm actually going to come back to this example. So let's say we want to trade one lot on, let's have a look at what the price is doing right now. We can go to the end of the chart by clicking on this symbol here. Let's say we wanted to actually trade one lot. We wanted to buy. The market's pushing up a little bit nicely right now, and we wanted to buy. Right. I could click on buy, and automatically you can see that I've actually opened a trade. It's a quick way of actually opening trades. If I want to set my stop loss, I can drag like we did in the previous one, and now my position is protected. Let's say I want to open multiple buys. You can do this by clicking it multiple times, and as you can see, now I've got 3 positions open at one lot each. All right. So that's a quick trade. So that's the quick trade terminal where you can actually open and close trades pretty quickly. If I want to close all my trades at the same time, as you can see, there's the X on the end of these, and I can just close my trades. Right, and all my trades are closed. Okay, guys, thanks for this. This has been just a quick tutorial on how to use MetaTrader 5. We're going to be going into more details in a few weeks, and also with our upcoming courses, we're going to be looking at in-depth how you can use both MT4 and MT5. And we're also going to be looking at different strategies you can implement in the market and how to become a well-rounded trader overall. We'll see you in the next one.